Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate you yielding me or giving me a little more time. I wanted to ask Mr. Stivers about some of the other sections relating to the credit rating agencies in the Dodd-Frank bill, because frankly, and I don't know if you have it in front of you, and I can bring you my copy if you need it, but you know, my bill does impact Section 939G, but I'd like to talk to you about Sections 932, 933 especially. 932 subjects rating agencies to additional restrictions on disclosures, keeps people from doing revolving door from an issuer to the agencies, and then more importantly, 933, Section 933 of Dodd-Frank does subject the rating agencies to legal liability for misleading statements and just untrue statements, which your testimony about 939G implied that it overturned Section 933 of Dodd-Frank as well. I just would like Mr. Stivers to clarify for the audience in the world that might be watching on C-SPAN 3. Won't be a very big world. Whether he thinks my bill turns over any of the other sections with regard to the rating agencies, including and especially Section 933 of Dodd-Frank.
Well, as I think the prior exchange showed, it can be dangerous to express an opinion on these matters without having lots of time to look at the text.
I know.
My testimony did not say that your bill is a grant of total immunity to the credit rating agencies. I think it is nonetheless a grant of immunity. If you might indulge me a moment or so longer.
We got a little time now.
Yeah, I think that several people in this hearing have expressed the view that this matter with the rating agencies is complicated, and I very much agree with that. Yes. And I think our exchange a few moments ago suggests that we probably have some common ground on some of these questions. Yep. I think the view of the coalitions and the organizations that I represent here today very much goes back to what Mr. Miller said at the beginning. Was it Mr. Miller?
It was Mr. Sherman, I believe.
Mr. Sherman, I'm sorry. Mr. Sherman's comments at the beginning of the hearing. We need to have a robust regulatory framework for the rating agencies because of the embedded and unresolvable conflicts.
Conflict of interest. Yep.
And if we did that, then I think we could talk, I think, with a greater degree of flexibility about a variety of issues of the type that that you're concerned with. I think it's absolutely correct that we should not be in a mode of no rating agencies at all, because there's a substantial sort of information economics gain associated with having rating agencies if they are properly regulated. We very much got into much as we did with independent auditors prior to Enron and WorldCom, we got into a world where we didn't have the necessary framework to capture those economics. We had sort of false economics around the rating agencies. It seems to me that might be a sort of space where there might be some bipartisan opportunities.
And I think there are, and I appreciate it. And I guess my point is to say, I'm not saying that Dodd-Frank did completely bad things about rating agencies. Mm-hmm. I support Section 932. I support Section 933. I support Section 938. 932 creates disclosures so that rating agencies for the first time have to list the assumptions underlying their ratings, so investors can understand what those ratings mean. 938 creates universality of ratings so that they all have a very similar meaning, and 933 gives them real liability if they make meaningful misstatements or purposeful misstatements or mislead people on purpose. And I guess the point that I'm trying to bring out is 939G is only one teeny piece of what Dodd-Frank did on the credit rating agencies, and unfortunately, it didn't work. It's not working today. That piece of law is not being enforced, and there's a better way to go by getting rid of it and then moving to what I talked about at the very end of my questions on an additional disclosure on rating shopping. And I guess, Mr. Stivers, I'm curious what your thought is about what Redwood did on rating shopping and whether you think that kind of, and my understanding from reading the Financial Times, not the SEC didn't tell me this, but the Financial Times says the SEC may be working on something with regard to that. What I would consider doing in this bill is including a requirement in the bill that rating shopping has to be disclosed, which is currently not part of Dodd-Frank. And I think it would make this bill a little stronger. I've talked to Mr. Peters about it, frankly, from Michigan, And so I guess, Mr. Silvers, in the minute we have left, what do you think of that?
Right, well, in rating shopping, I'm very pleased to hear that you're working as you say you are on the rating shopping issue. It is a serious part of the problem. I think our view would be that there is much unfinished work to be done with the rating agencies, and it seems as though you and your colleagues on both sides of the aisle have a fruitful path here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it.
Thank you. The gentleman from California is recognized for 5 minutes.